With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
The stretch towards the championship is getting ever tighter. And tonight, two different tracks are on the docket. Two styles of racing for PRL Stock Car Wednesdays. First, it's the Truck Series from Watkins Glen International. Justin Prince, Derek Watson with you with our producer Dustin Owens tonight as we go road course racing for 40 minutes in the trucks, Derek.
Well, here we are, one of the most iconic road courses when you think about NASCAR, Justin. One of the, not the originals, but one of the ones we've done the longest in NASCAR at Watkins Glen. Beautiful track here in New York. Lots of left and right hand turns to be made, and just part of another leg of a crazy schedule.
Speaking of that schedule, let's take a look at it and keep in mind, coming off Richmond Raceway last week, at least one driver seen a suspension due to incident points last week, and Jamie Graham. We still have our short track left to go in the Milwaukee Mile at Darlington Raceway, the championship finale for this series, this season. Speaking of the championship, let's turn the page over to the standings, where Brent Adams leads the way. 25 points is the gap between him and Zach Panzarella. Patrick Cowgill is also in championship range, but 34 points back. Lost a lot of ground last week, same for Panzarella. Marty Calvert and Brennan Shatley in your top 5. Some close battling, though, if you want 6th. Austin Hunter, Andrew Sharp, Philip Beaver, Stacy Hunter, and Mike Toomer Jr. all within a range of each other, trying to take away a 6th through 10th starting spot, or championship spot, I should say, in the standings. When it comes to teams, meanwhile, DDI Motorsports Forever is in the lead, 44 ever, should say. That's 31 points over Fillmore Racing. Last time, 7 points picked up by DDI. Whatback Racing, Hunters in Final Drive in 3rd and 4th. Final Drive picking up 79 points last round, the most out of anybody as a team. Buster's Buzz Racing Group, Battle Bus, Adams Family Racing, and JLAS amongst the team scoring points. Murphy Esports also scored points last week, but they round out the top 10. Big Fast Racing hasn't scored points in 2 weeks. Let's look at the standings entering tonight. Tonight's action brought to you in part by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available on the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using Precision 5 coupon code. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, for the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are a joyful addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceSpotTV and get a 5% discount using Precision 5 coupon code. Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. For every nuance, ensure you put yourself in the driver's seat. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. Mr. Hedgehog Racing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby at the 8K resolution. Great addition to any sim room. Get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. Let's look at our presenting partners tonight. 17 starters made their way to the Glen tonight, and we had a longer qualifying format, Derek. Double the qualifying length, double the laps.
Yeah, 4 laps or 10 minutes was the the ruling here, and right now we're looking at Zachary Burnt on screen here, currently a 1:17.765. He is the last of the drivers allowed to set times here currently, so he's just out here having fun, and that is, I believe, his 4th lap, and that was not an improvement. So, nope, that lap did not count, and that's going to be part of why he's not counting laps, JP, is his spin out there into the 90.
So that is basically all your runners here on the racetrack. We still have a couple seconds before the session is to tick over. But it was a session in which drivers ran in the 114s in the high period. Just about all set to go as the grid still a couple seconds away from making their way on the racetrack as the grandstands now populate here on RaceSpot.
You know, JP, and we called this one of the classic NASCAR road courses. Obviously not the first. There's been many road courses NASCAR ran before coming to the Glen, but for a long time, there were only 2 road courses that I remember on the schedule, which would have been, you know, Sonoma and the Glen. So a lot of long-time NASCAR fans, pardon me, are familiar with this track. It's not like going to, you know, some of the newer road courses like Akota or the Roval or any others we put on the schedule recently where they don't know the course. A lot of long-term NASCAR sim drivers are familiar with this course. So this should be a little bit better of a race quality-wise than maybe going to some other road courses we visit.
And so we'll still have a couple more moments before the drivers get themselves to command to roll here. I'll ask you this right now, Derek. What do you think we will see in terms of the racing tonight over the course of 40 minutes?
Well, I think we're going to see probably a few drivers pull away. I mean, our qualifying times kind of indicate that. You'll see a few drivers who are maybe more comfortable with road course racing, but don't be surprised to see a new name or two pop up who we don't see maybe as dominant on the oval side that we do on a road course side. I know a lot of practice. Alex Hillman, for example, dominated practice for a while until temps started to cool off, and then a couple guys got ahead of him in time. But I think we'll see a couple new names pop up here. But what we're likely to see is a lot of really just feathering the throttle, being patient, taking these corners correctly, and hopefully a good, clean race.
Who do you think this race benefits the most, or rather leans into the most tonight?
Well, I mean, based upon the fact that Brett Adams qualified 8th, and then Calgill and Panzarella are up in the top 3, I would say it benefits them more currently. But let's take a look at the grid, JP, and we'll come back and talk about that on the pace lap.
Let's take a look at that grid indeed. Patrick Calgill set the pole by near a 1/10 of a second over Marty Calvert tonight. Zach Panzarella starts row 2 alongside Alex Hillman, one of Hillman's best starting spots of the year. Kevin McGarvey continues his good qualifying streak in 5th. Mike Richter is next. Next page, Phil Beaver, Brett Adams. Not in the swing of things on the road course. He's back at 8th. Nick Hunter and Austin Hunter, the top 10. Matthew Alaka start off with 11th. Alaka, Stacy Hunter, Mike Toomer Jr., Zachary Burnt, your last to set times. Tallahassee starting from pit road tonight. Kyle Dewey did not take part in qualifying. Dylan Schmidt rounds out the field. So getting to that point you were making, that's a big difference in terms of starting position for Adams compared to the rest of his competitors. It might be a drop round.
It might be, right? A lot of drivers who race NASCAR on a regular basis, they don't love road courses. Now, I could argue with you that the reason NASCAR oval drivers don't love road courses is that, you know, these vehicles are not road course vehicles. I think that's why a lot of oval drivers hate road courses, because we get put into a car that's really not built for it and then expect to do it, right? Go run a GT3, go run an LMP2 around this road course, and you'll have a blast in those cars. But these trucks just aren't really built for it. So it's very, very difficult, very finicky, very tedious even to get this truck around here. But yeah, we'll wait to see. I mean, Calgill already 1 point up, JP, because of getting the pole. So he's already technically 1 point to the good on Panzarella and Adams and others tonight. But I'm curious about this first start, JP. Down through the 90 and up through the S's. This could get a little tricky.
The trickiness will put drivers to the test absolutely tonight. Who's your pick to win it?
Oh gosh, I mean, Patrick Calgill has worked so hard at this. His confidence is really high. He made a point to tell me today he thinks this is his best chance of the last few races to get a W here. So I'm gonna pick Calgill. I mean, he worked really hard in practice, improved his time by over a second as practice went on. So Patrick Calgill, but I'd also keep an eye on Alex Hillman.
Happy with us here at Race Spot for the PRL Truck Series, as Calgill and Calvert lead things off tonight. Pace car is off, green flag is out. We're underway from the Glen. And a clean run to the 90. Calgill leads them down and up the hillside. Calvert, Panzarella already shuffled McGarvey up to 4th.
Side-by-side racing up to the S's. I don't care what vehicle you're in, trucks, cup cars, Mazdas, whatever. That's always scary to be side-by-side through the S's, but they work it out. In fact, they've all got it pretty much single file down to the S's, now into the bus stop.
Just trying to sort themselves out of the early going, right? Mike Richter sorts himself out back there at the bus stop. Let's go now to the carousel. One spin. Lonka involved. Toomer Jr. involved. Austin Hunter the wrong way around. And with it being a road course, not expecting the caution flag as Hunter loops it back around.
Yeah, the PRL admins have a long-standing rule, Justin. We're only going to put the caution out if a wreck would completely block the racing surface. And all the PRL road course races in the Oval Series, we've never come across that yet. And I doubt tonight of all the road courses we could go to will be your culprits. That just puts Alaka and Hunter and others way behind the lead at this point as we now finish our first lap.
Patrick Calgill in final practice set the fastest lap time, by the way, in the 1:13.7s. Alex Hillman seems very comfortable here. We haven't seen him as much in the top 10 this season than I think he may have liked on the oval so far. But tonight, good starting position, able to hold on for the 4th spot for the battle. Now tries to keep himself up as we take a look at the replay.
Yeah, let's watch what happens here. Back going in the bus stop. There's Austin Hunter deep to the inside, right by his brother Nick, and then him and Alaka just make contact, and Alaka gets loose. Oh man, Austin Hunter did not get those brakes locked up in time. But Alaka just made contact with the car on the inside, and chaos ensues from there. But coming back to Alex Hillman, JP, yeah, Calgill eventually set the fastest time in practice, but for a long time, Hillman was the top of the board. Hillman was really the head of the class, if you will, about setting that time. And, Calgill had to really work at it and kind of benefited from the track cooling down. This track was already way warmer than it is in race trim. This track has already cooled down by about 5, 6, 7 degrees since practice.
Interesting, to say the least, in terms of those temperatures. We'll see as well how the race fares out. 33 laps the distance. Yes, Nicholas Hunter way wide back there. He was way off, way over the rumble strips in the 90.
And of course, Nick had a really interesting week last week at Richmond. Got wrecked by his teammate and his brother, Austin. I think I saw that wreck again this week at Richmond. I'm just saying, I think I saw that same kind of wreck, but watch here as you're going to see Austin here. This gets it way wide. Almost, I'm guessing just missed his braking point in that corner, JP. And listen, once you're up there, you might as well commit to it and just take advantage of it.
Looking back to Marty Calvert, second fastest in final practice. Seems to be very consistent to start things off. Ran the 1:14.6s last time by, quicker than your race later.
Yeah, and you know what? And Marty especially, and Philip Beaver, part of Fillmore, have had an incredible season here. I mean, they're second in team points. They've really just stood out here, I think more than normal to me, in this season about their strong performances. So you see Calvert really keeping pace here with Calgill and just trying to keep there, keep in touch, keep him with his windshield view and see if something can come of this.
How difficult is it to stay as a cohesive unit as a team over the course of a season, let alone a year?
Well, it can be very difficult to stay as a cohesive unit. I mean, first off, you have to understand just that, life happens and that, someone who agrees to be your teammate in January, might have something happen, moving, new job, new school, kids, divorce, whatever you have, and they kind of lose interest in iRacing. So you're battling that. You're battling people who go on streaks of hot and cold in iRacing. We all have times when we're really just crushing it on a hot streak, and we love what we're doing in iRacing. And you have times when you come across a schedule of tracks you hate, and boy, it's like, man, why am I doing this? Like, I could be off doing this. I could be off playing some other game. I could be spending time with my family. And also, listen, for better or for worse, we're all humans. We have emotions, we have feelings, we have personalities, we have opinions. And, just like real life, you work with people, you're teammates with people who maybe say something dumb, and you kind of get mad and can't stand them, and you got to be cohesive. It's important to have teammates who you know and trust, across the board.
Here there was a pass at the back. Dom Massey lost a spot after starting on pit road. Austin Hunter has recovered at least one spot. And we'll see how.
This will be coming through after the bus stop here, the carousel. Tom caught the grass, got it wicked loose, and then came up here high, just without the speed, and Austin's got the inside of him here.
And one thing we talked about is it's so easy to slide these rear tires. How tricky is that with the throttle control in your perspective?
Maybe I was trying to think about this pre-race of all of the 3 top NASCAR vehicles, so the trucks, the Grand Nationals, and the Cup. To me, the trucks are the most difficult of the 3 on a road course. Like there are road courses on this schedule where if you just it feels like if you sniff the gas pedal, this truck wants to loop around on you. And I'm not sure if it's just the weight of the truck, if it's just how big it is, shape-wise, that it wants to do that. I don't know. But it will loop around pretty quickly on you here. As we're watching the battle here between Calvert and Cowgill. It's less than a second as they're coming through. And man, Calvert is slowly gaining on Cowgill as the laps are going on here. So Cowgill doing a great job. But yeah, this vehicle is very, very difficult on the road courses. This is my least favorite quote-unquote oval car to race a road course on.
Checking back in, meanwhile, by the way, on Phil Beaver. And right now, Beaver having a tricky time with those rears that we're just touching upon. He drips it again.
Yeah, Beaver here ahead of your points leader, Brett Adams. We're going to look on board from Brett Adams here. Let's see what Brett does here. Sticks behind Beaver, gets a little bit of that draft down the straightaway. Gets a way better entry. And then gets a little bit better onto the gas pedal. And then looking out of the corner, it's a little wider, about the same on gas pedal, looked like there on that time. But Brett Adams is slowly closing in to fill the Beaver here. Now going to try to look inside the 90. That's like my least favorite place to try the inside look. He backs out of it. And now we'll see what he does out of the S's.
Yeah, it's so difficult to pass, I've noticed, though, this week, Derek. Just coming off the SOF broadcast earlier tonight as well. It was difficult to make a move, and a lot of people got a lot of physical. It got to the point of impatience.
I think it's because you feel the need on a few certain passing points here to make something happen for yourself, because there's a lot of points on this track where it doesn't feel fun or easy or possible to pass. Whether that be down through the 90, up through the S's, in the bus stop. Those are spots where you want to pass because you can really gain on someone, but it's hard to. Let's watch this replay real quick, pardon me. That's Zachary Burnt. Whoa. Man, got super loose there on the top of that corner and then got past here. But yeah, you had to be a little bit physical here. You had to be willing to run up against someone, right up next to someone, and set yourself up. There's Brett Adams way wide out of the last corner. That's going to cost him some time on Philip Beaver. Man, it just looks, JP, like the Brett Adams and road course racing are not best friends.
Just doesn't seem like it at all.
But listen, here's the important part for Brett Adams, though, is he's here, right? He's here. He's going to get some points. He's not going to drop the week. Try it out. Who knows what happens? Listen, someone ahead of you may have some trouble. They might you know, have a bad pit stop. They might have some bad luck, and he gains some points. But listen, if he can finish P8, that'll be good for his championship hopes.
Good run to the bus stop this time for Adams, by the way. Takes a lot of the curbing this time as he rumbles on through. Just 10 minutes through on the clock. And somewhere, you have to wonder where the rhythm's going to break, Derek. So far, these drivers have turned about 8 laps this time by. Not a single pass in the top 9.
And almost, you know, more importantly to go with that, JP, not a single pass, but the fall off is real in these tires. And people are getting slower as these laps go on. Let me give you an example here as we're going to ride on board here for a second and take a look here. So let's watch this corner first. This is down into turn 1, or you and I call it the 90, sort of the alternate name for it here. But you'll see here, that's going to be Brett Adams here. So in the 23 of Brett Adams, his fastest lap, JP, a 1:15.267. His last one, a 1:16.1. So he's dropped almost a second off his lap time in the first 9 laps.
And it's up to 2 seconds for your top drivers on the leaderboard, too. So a lot of people starting to struggle with that grip on the rubber on their Goodyear Eagles. As we continue to turn the time and turn the tide. Dylan Schmidt, 12th spot.
Ooh.
One of your bigger movers just lost a spot back to the 42.
Yeah, lost the car, the back end of that car too. You saw it kind of get out from under him and point in a different direction. But he's got it wrapped back up here. So remember, JP, as you said, no cautions tonight. So pit strategy is purely in the hands of the drivers. There's no yellow to mess with you. There's no, I mean, very, very, very unlikely there's a yellow to mess with you. So it's about when do you want to pit? When does that pit window open? When are you comfortable? How soon do you want new tires, and what can you do with them? Are all things that can matter here for these drivers.
Battle for 12 now is the battle box. Austin Hunter's also reeled in these drivers. Hunter last time by was up to 3 seconds quicker than these two.
Yeah, Austin, despite that early on issue out of the bus stop, is really putting some good pace here. I mean, last time by, he's a 1:17.938 on the lap times. That's not, you know, slow by most standards. And here's Brett Adams, by the way. He has gotten around Philip Beaver, so he has made a pass here. He's now up to P7, and you see, I think that's P6. Whoa, man, that's Dylan Schmidt, I believe, with Mike Toomer there. Way wide. So let's talk about something else, JP, and let's kind of audible for a second. Something that you and I don't get to talk a lot about in PRL is incident limits. Now, there are 2 levels to it. There's 13 incident points for a drive-through penalty and 17 for a DQ where you're out of the race. Most ovals, we don't have that problem. In fact, I think any oval, we probably don't have that problem. But here, every time you get wide up out of turn 1, you're eating an off-track penalty. Those are 1Xs. 13 of those, you get a penalty. 17 of those, you're done for the day.
Yeah, now we'll see if anybody reached that point. We've already had Lockett DNF from his incident. Tom Massey already lose a lap in this race too.
And
go ahead.
I'm sorry. And the problem with DQing is it's you don't score like last place points. You don't get, you know, you don't just go to the back in the field. You score nothing. It's like you were never here if you DQ out of this race. So that's why you need to be very careful in turn 1. We're seeing a lot of drivers maybe who aren't as experienced getting way wide through turn 1. That's the biggest spot to do it. You can also do it in between the last 2 corners, which would be 6 and 7 according to iRacing. Hold on.
Austin Hunter runs through Mike Toomer Jr. That's a 4X.
Well, that's 4 of your 13, and we know that Hunter probably already has at least 2 more because he had the incident, you know, out of the bus stop, so he's halfway to his first penalty here, if not more, that we don't know about. So, man, that was a hard hit. I mean, Toomer looked to be slow there on the course, but wow, I'd love to see that in a different shot and see what Austin Hunter saw. Here it is. I ask and I shall receive. Man, I don't know, JP. Like, I know Mike Toomer was slow, but I don't know. I don't know how Austin Hunter didn't see that, to be honest with you.
It almost looked like Mike Toomer Jr. wasn't trying to cut across the track limits. The alternative, the off-track rule, mind you, in that corner, you go over the edge of the red and yellow curbing, you get the off-track. He was at the edge of the red and yellow curbing, right on top of it.
Yeah, I felt like you're right. Like that's a great call, JP. He was slowing down to avoid that red and yellow curbing, and then just got hit from behind. I'm sure Austin didn't mean it, but in a world of having to be aware as a driver of what's going on around you, how you don't see that, I don't know. That's difficult. I'll talk to Austin about it post race and see his point of view, but that was kind of crazy.
Dylan Smith yet again off, went all the way nearly to the wall in the 90. This is a little bit too far.
So, he never hit he did hit the brakes, but he's completely missed his braking point there. I mean, never even got it wound up to the inside of that corner. You know, a very dangerous corner of the track nonetheless, but still you gotta make an attempt at it here. Now we see Zach Panzarella here in P3 running along here, already about 3.5 to 4 seconds back from your leader of Patrick Cowgill. And right now, JP, I gotta say, this feels like vintage Patrick Cowgill.
Is 2 seasons ago, even a season ago, called vintage?
I mean, compared to the season he's had this time, and all due respect to Patrick, I mean, he's still running decent, still, second or, in points and trying, or third in points and trying. But, I mean, for the struggles he's had, this feels like we're returning back to that Patrick Cowgill we knew that just sort of, dominated most races. Right now, he's well ahead of his competitors and just sort of walking away. So, but I understand your point. It's not been that long ago, but it kind of feels like it, to be honest. And I'm sure for him, it feels even longer.
Panzarella having to hold back Alex Hillman a little bit, meanwhile, by the way. Panzarella just trying not to slide the tires, it looks like.
There's nothing wrong with that. Listen, a lot of times at a road course, we'll tell drivers, listen, keep it on the track. Keep a clean car, and you'll finish better than you think you would. Or avoid those penalty points, and you'll beat people who have to take the penalty, who think it's, cool to be that aggressive, so to speak. So, yeah, why not try? I mean, he's sitting here in third. I'm a little surprised Hillman hasn't made a stronger run up in fourth, but as you said, this track is hard to pass on. It's just a very technical, in a vehicle that's not very technical at this track.
Very rigid, you can argue a little bit. But lucky now up the road. This is now for 6th and 7th. Mike Richter is dropping back into the clutches of Adams.
And this is what Brett Adams needs to make this night successful, is to slowly reel in a couple drivers, help close that points gap. And now you'll see Philip Beaver and Nicholas Hunter. This will be for 8th and 9th. Nick trying to bounce back and have another great run this week. And man, Justin, isn't Nick someone who's really, I feel like has been more prevalent this season than the past couple?
Seeing a lot more Nick Hunter in wild moments, I'll give him that.
I do. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. I feel like he's got a case of bad luck, man. He keeps getting up there. He keeps being, in the past few weeks, he's been relevant. He's been in the picture, and something happens to him. So if he can ever get that monkey off his back, so to speak, we might see some greatness out of Nick Hunter. But a P9 here on a road course at Watkins Glen using that cup layout. It's not a bad day here. Let's see if he can run down Philip Beaver. Goes down this back straight. Now they'll look for the braking markers on the right-hand side of the wall. There's some numbers there. And they'll start wooing it up. And then they'll abuse these curbs. Now hopefully, JP, before we run this course next year in the cup schedule or PRL or any of that form, we'll get that reskin of Watkins Glen where there's now some more aggressive curbs there that, let's just say, will discourage you from driving like that.
That was off driver recommendation and request, believe, in real life. That's why they made it more aggressive so there isn't as much runoff. Mike Richter and pit party time. Just about everybody just pit already.
This is a little bit, well, this is actually, I'm sorry, half after This is after halfway, or just at the halfway mark here. So this kind of makes sense if you are someone who wants to run, 2 even races. But now we got to watch pit road here and hope no one has any kind of mistakes here. Here's Marty Calvert. Gets his, what would be the left side tires on, so I had to do the math in my head because it's backwards here, the pit road. Now the right side tires, and Calvert down and away. The first of those trucks to get off pit road here.
Right on schedule in terms of his pit stop timing. Not bad, 43 seconds in the lane total. We'll see where Calgill matches up when he ducks in this time by. Stacy Hunter amongst those who look to push forward. And a couple drivers didn't pit there. That includes him, Nick Hunter, and Calgill. Calgill was now in.
Yeah, and this is a track where really you don't maybe want to try that idea of waiting for something to happen, right? You don't, in an oval, sometimes you'll see a driver or two who want to push it till the yellow comes out, so to speak. But that's not going to happen here. Very, very unlikely to have a yellow. So why not try it? Here's Nick Hunter going around again. Comes out of what iRacing calls turn 7 down the front straight here. Really, I say it that way, JP, because depending upon who you ask and how you draw the track here, I've seen differences from 7 to 9 to 11 corners in the corner count.
Really depends on who it is when the track map is done, right? It also, mind you, factors in the boot. That also has to come into play. Looking at Brett Adams, he zips on by. You can see the difference on tires just right there.
Yeah, and what happens here is the longer you wait to pit, what's happening is you're not going to have the laps on the back end of that run to maybe get that advantage of that speed out of those tires. So really, that's why I love those halfway calls that happened, Calvert, Panzarella, Hillman, McGarvey, and others. You just get it done, get it over with. No pit road penalties that we can see on the board, by the way. Everyone is good on that area, so this is going to be an even up race right now. No penalties involved, nothing like that. So that tells you that what may matter here, JP, is how well people get on and off of pit road.
Nick Hunter, interesting enough, trying to go lawn here. Doesn't have the margins, though, to keep this for lawn. Last lap, already a couple seconds eaten into by Calgill. Nick Hunter's running 117s. Calgill, we'll see a good indicator of the lap next time by, but the interval is dropping.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, not Calgill, but Calvert, a 114 last time by. Same for Panzarella. So we'll see how that plays out here with that going on. But what I like about Nick Hunter's strategy here, listen, what about Hunter is in that discussion of team points. So why not stay out and get up some more points for your team? Why not lead a lap here and get a point that way? Be a little different and play a little bit of a strategy game that may come into effect somehow. So we'll see how that plays out here. On board, this is Nicholas Hunter on the camera, I should say. You see that gap here of just under 7 seconds back to Patrick Calgill. As Hunter now is coming down this long straight, will make the left-hander, get the car settled, and then quickly make that right-hander that leads you in the pit lane.
He's not taking it. Not taking it, not even close. Still 6-7 seconds the gap right now. You see just how much per sector Calgill is closing up. 2 seconds alone in the first sector.
Whoa, man, that's going to be a close one for Nicholas Hunter right there. I believe he probably saved the truck from going over that line to avoiding that off-track penalty we discussed, but he had to definitely roll up to make it happen. So we'll have to take a look back later and see how that is going. Now we got one of the Philmar cars on our screen here as he is driving down the front straight himself. That's the 60. And there is a pitter. There's another pitter in the 21.
71 is in.
71. That's a
Hunter.
weird looking 7. That's Stacy Hunter. Sorry, Stacy. The extra little bubble on the bottom. Maybe I think it was a 2. But yeah, it's true. It is 71.
Zachary Burnt yet to take service. Also yet to take service is Mike Toomer Jr. Tallahassee also came in that time by from a lap down. And the fuel run is expected to go close to the end. Close is the key word. Interesting enough, Derek, they extended the eNASCAR Qualified iRacing Series race by 5 laps to prevent a fuel mileage race this past week.
What, and I think fuel mileage might be a little deceiving in what you're saying, although I know what you're saying is that, in essence, they didn't want people lifting and coasting, is what the goal was, right? They don't want people lifting and coasting just to try to, sniff the fuel, if you will, or whatever however you want to say it, just to not have to stop. Is what I think the goal was there. And I like that call, by the way. I've watched races. I've been part of races in iRacing where everyone's kind of, 70, 80% throttle, just hoping to make it to the end. I've seen it happen at Daytona, of all places. And it's boring. It's boring as heck to watch that happen. So I'm glad they did that. But luckily here in the PRL, with these limits we have on the gas tanks, I don't think anyone could ever make it on fuel. I mean, Nick Hunter, maybe he's trying. Maybe he knows something I don't. I don't know. Speaking of knowing something, there's Brett Adams making another pass. He knows something because that's still for P7 after the pit stops. But he's having a really easier time passing people, Justin, than most drivers are.
Yep, and Nick Hunter is in. Nicholas Hunter to the pit lane. His lead was down to just 3 seconds. He was going to lose that regardless of the next laps. But Brett, not going to really lose points really at all tonight. This is going to be a very good points haul, at least a 6 points run here if he holds on.
Yeah, I mean, he'll lose a little bit of points due to the bonuses of, qualifying, leading a lap, and whatnot. Those other bonuses that PRL gives out. At least it looks like he will as of now, but you're right, running up where he is in P6, he'll minimize the loss here as we head into our last few tracks here. The now comes up through the S's. This is one of the trickiest parts of the track in the truck. You really, really have to kind of feather that throttle and then be ready to mash it when you can, which is probably right about here. When you get off that corner and try to get a great run down the front straight, or down the back straight, pardon me.
See the little differences and nuances Adams is taking compared to Richter, who's starting to struggle a little bit. It's been better. Brett Adams has on long run. By the way, Austin Hunter lost a lap during this sequence of stops. He had a longer pit stop delta compared to most in that circumstance. So, 13 minutes, less than that to work with here. It's been a calm one, as to be expected, Derek.
Yeah, it has been calm, right? It's one of those tracks where everyone kind of gets to spread out. You run your own race. You have all the different series in PRL that races at the Glen. Oh, hold on. There's Zachary Burnt around. This is going to be, I think, through turn 1, it looks like, or is this the bus stop? That's the bus stop, sorry. And he's got it caught back around here, but he's about to get past, and I believe maybe get lapped there. Was that Calgill? I saw it is Calgill behind him. So now Calgill to the outside of the carousel will try to lap Zachary Burnt. Oh.
Looking at the replay, a lot of wheel hop.
Hey, you know what? Great job. Let's give some kudos to Zachary Burnt there. There's a lot of drivers of any skill level in iRacing who would have not held the brakes that hard and would have found that wall in the inside of that bus stop. So great job by Burnt to get this load up. Let's watch it again here. There's way too much under the curbing there. Oh, that's close.
Yeah, very lucky to not destroy the truck there. But now, lap traffic. In this circumstance, Zachary Burnt having to let by Marty Calvert that time by. By the way, Calgill has found a groove. The driver with the fastest lap of the race, really starting to pull away this run.
Yeah, doing a pretty great job here overall of finding a groove that works for him and just pulling away with it. So I know, like I said, Patrick told me he was optimistic about tonight. He kind of joked he was happy that Andrew Sharp was on vacation. Andrew, of course, a noted road racer. So I think Patrick was concerned if Andrew would have shown up, what would have happened. But, obviously very happy to not have that, if you want to call Andrew a ringer, is that a fair comment, Justin?
Yeah, he's got a lot of road course racing experience, Sharp does, in the league scene, in the major event scene. He would have been one of the favorites here tonight if that happened.
Yeah, it would have been a big favorite had that happened. So Calgill kind of joked he was happy not to see Sharp on track, but just pulling away here. So let's walk through this lap for a minute. So we're going to come down this left-hander in what we call the 90 because of the amount of degrees in that corner. You get yourself a nice run out of one. You prepare yourself for the S's. You kind of want to be, if possible, right up almost against these curbs, JP. But then right here, you want to swing it back out to the right and be as far right as possible. And swing it wide here again and be back on the gas for the back straight.
And then just take the curbs just right?
Yeah, take those curbs right. We saw how important that was with Zach Burnt earlier. Get out of there. Down through the carousel. Don't carry too much speed here. If you do, that truck will wash way up that little bit of banking there. And then you're going to want to come wide left. You can get pretty far left off track there without a penalty from iRacing. And you get yourself a nice run down this long straight. I think the longest of the 3 straights, if I remember right. And then a quick lefty. And you want to start yourself up pretty quickly and get wide because now you get a right-hander. And that will be the end of a lap at Watkins Glen.
And right now, Calgill up 9 seconds, or rather not with 9 minutes to go. Taking a look at Mike Toomer Jr. He just found a way around Byrne in the battle with lap downers.
Yeah, this is a battle that can happen here. You see there's Kevin McGarvey going by, Mike Toomer's in your shot, Zachary Burnt's right there in your shot, so. Oh, and there's Burnt again. And that's got, man, I would think Burnt's got to be getting close to that line you and I talked about incident points before he needs to get a, or not needs to, before he will get a penalty. Watch out, Austin Hunter. Man, I thought we were going to see a repeat of Mike Toomer Jr. there.
Thought so too. But we hold on and keep running around. You see the intervals between each driver right now on the racetrack. And hearing Marty Calvert has dropped down the pylon. What happened to Marty?
Yeah, I must have missed it. Let's watch this here. Got it way wide and just kind of loose here out of that corner. And he gets it turned back around. Look at all these cars coming. He's going to sit still, do the right thing, and then get moving again. So he lost a lot of time in this corner right here. Just kind of being nice to the drivers and letting them by. This is down in turn 1. Wow.
Absolutely devastating for his race, though. It's going to take a lot for him to be able to get himself at least on the podium after that. And Zach Panzarella is elevated to second.
Yeah, Panzarella now up to second in that dark, I don't know, called a hunter green and amphibious green. I don't know what name you have for it, but yeah, want to do well here. Zach has dabbled in some road racing in the past in iRacing. He's not completely an oval driver, so he has a little bit of that road racing experience to help him here in this vehicle here. So he kind of using those curbs and, you know, JP, that's one of those things that I think is sort of not intuitive to an oval driver who doesn't do much road course racing, is how much on a road course you need to be using the curbs, using the bankings, using the, you know, the, I guess the painted part of the tracks, if you want to call it that. A lot of that's not intuitive to an oval driver because we're kind of taught not to do it.
Right now, less than 7 minutes to go on the clock. Less than 7. Estimated 6 laps to go in this race. And Hunter has closed rapidly on Zach.
Yeah, this is becoming a great battle here. I mean, obviously, part of how Hunter's closing is by Burnt having some mistakes here that Hunter's capitalizing on, but this is a battle back here for 12th and 13th. And we'll see how this plays out here as Hunter's now going to get a run on, I guess, the outside of this little front straight here. And he'll try and get a little bit of draft into turn 1. Let's see what happens. Closes up a lot of space there, JP. Gets way closer to Austin Hunter. And now comes on around. Well, JP, we talked about this being a classic track, one that's been around forever. Man, look at these guys feeling good. Look at Austin Hunter getting a run here on Zachary Burns. Let's come back to that classic track in a second. I want to see what happens here. There's like another car behind him as well. Is that Calvert or B, right? This trucks are identical, JP. I can't tell them apart.
Oh, that is Beaver.
It's Beaver. From a branding standpoint, identical trucks, beautiful, great, awesome. From a broadcaster standpoint, sometimes. Well, here comes the pass. I backed out of it.
Back in line. Hunter not able to get the pass done yet.
Oh, he lost it. There it is. Hunter lost it in that last corner.
Austin Hunter into the barrier. And loops it around in the 27. His race going from bad to worse.
Yeah, having a really rough night as Austin Hunter. Unfortunately for him, part of What About Hunters. So that'll likely be the end of him making any kind of run at this facility tonight. Well, talked about this being a classic track, JP, and one that's been around forever. I want to show you for a second, get your reaction. Let's look at how this track looked back when it was built in the 1940s. Let's pull it up on a broadcaster in a second here and see the original track map for Watkins Glen when it wasn't the defined road course that it is today. Look at this, JP. That's the original Watkins Glen.
Yeah, that is a much different one.
Look at that beak up there in the bottom left, over there by the, let's say, Stone Bridge and the White's Hollow Road over there. That would be a horrible set of corners, wouldn't it?
By the schoolhouse, that's going to be a tough section. But Stonebridge, you mentioned, yeah. Railroad Straight, I'm guessing there was a railroad track there.
Yeah, NY 329, NY 329, Franklin Street up there, the Watkins Glen Town Center up by the start finish. That's up on your top right, pardon me. So a much, much different track layout than we see today. But back then, it wasn't really a defined track. I believe they were just all public roads that they raced on, sort of like what we do at other racetracks. You know, part of the Nürburgring, I think, is public roads. Part of the that one track in France with the KFC. Oh, hold on, man! Mike Toomer, I thought was going to get to the back end of Beaver there, but held on to it. But yeah, all public roads. A much different track than we see today. Hello, Nicholas Hunter just said hello.
Yeah, bit of a tight sequence.
I just feel like a wrecking ball tonight.
Bill Beaver still holding on to the 8th position, though. That's the bright side for his run right now. Less than 3 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, it really has been a calm race over. Let's watch this again here. This is back into Mike Toomer. Beaver gets around. Toomer gets up in the grass a little bit here. This will be up through the S's, I believe. And then he's going to pull over here in front of Nick Hunter. And they are out of the S's, and Nick Hunter just, wow. So the question I have for you, JP, and watching that replay, did it feel like maybe Toomer was trying to like lift and let Hunter by? And if so, is that sort of what causes that problem when you're trying to let people by on a road course? Don't you end up making it worse usually?
You do. In a lot of cases, possibly. I've seen it happen a lot of times. Have you?
Oh, a lot of times. When we're teaching new drivers how to road course race, watch this here. So this is on board for Nick Hunter. This is Mike Toomer. What Toomer's going to do is he's going to lift because he's trying to not drift out and be in the way of Nick Hunter. But when you're not carrying that speed we all expect you to carry, you know, be predictable is what we teach new road course drivers. Be predictable, do what you're supposed to do, and let the faster car get around you. That's not only racing logic, that's what the iRacing handbook tells us, that the faster car is responsible for the clean pass. But when you try to whoa up or change lanes at the last second or do something different than your normal racing moves, typically you end up being in the way of the car in front of you or behind you, either or, and you end up kind of getting caught in a wreck you don't want to be a part of.
Expecting the white flag this time by the way. Nick Hunter now in the 8th spot with all that mess going on with Beaver and company. So we look to close things out strong. Patrick Cowgill. The gap has gone down a little bit in the past lap or so, but 12 seconds give or take. Looking to close it out in dominating fashion.
Yeah, here comes Cowgill through turn 7. Gets ready to take that long run down this straight. He'll see the white flag in the hands of Barney the flagman. You got to think Patrick Cowgill, just a big sigh of relief here as he sees this here. He's wanted to race well this season. Something about this new truck package hasn't agreed with him. But tonight, it's just been the Patrick Cowgill show, top to bottom.
Absolute clinic from the 31 tonight. Just needs to keep it clean, take it on home.
Yep, keep it clean. So we'll just roll up a little early in this bus stop here. Don't do anything crazy, which he kind of thought he did, honestly, about how aggressive he was on those curbs. But he'll have a great time coming around here in his last couple corners. Now down to the carousel. This is known as turn 5, or some people call it the outer loop, in fact, JP. I like the term carousel. Do you have a preference?
It depends on the movement, but carousel seems to be the go-ahead. But for the first time this season, Patrick Cowgill will come out of the final corners with the go-ahead to take a trip to victory lane. Checker flag is out. Patrick Cowgill wins it at the Glen by more than 10 seconds.
Wow, what a great dominant performance here by Patrick Cowgill, showing off his road course prowess, showing off his strength in that car. Probably, I'm guessing, he had a very good time doing it.
Some of the air battles closing up. Marty Calvert almost got back to the 77. Couldn't in the very end. Still top 5 after spinning from 2nd for Calvert. McGarvey, his best run of the season. Alex Hillman, the same. Nicholas Hunter. Looks like he will hold on in front of Phil Beaver for the 8th spot.
Man, Beaver's not going to make it easy, though. Look at that. Beaver tried to make the run out of the corner. And nope, Nick Hunter will get P8.
But in the end, still waiting for the rest of the drivers to finish up. 9 drivers finished on the lead lap in this race. 42 seconds the difference between 1st and 9th in the very end.
Yeah, big gap between 1st and 9th, but really if you cut 1st out, with all due respect to Cowgill, and you go 2nd through 9th, that gap gets a little bit closer, but still a decent sized gap.
Hearing that a couple people had to come down for incident points and for pit stops the final lap. Bernd Intumer Jr. came down to the final lap, hence the delay. But Cowgill, no delay for him, burns it on down here at the Glen.
Yeah, having a great time. First time this season, so there we go. Well, in a moment, the results are going to show up, JP, here in the screen. What they're going to show is that Patrick Cowgill had a great run and gained some points on Brett Adams.
Let's take a look at it here. 12 points, 12 seconds the difference in the very end of the interval. Zach Panzarella 2nd. Hillman, McGarvey, Calvert, your top 5. Brett Adams, Mike Richter, Nicholas Hunter, Phil Beaver, Stacy Hunter, all finished top 10. Stacy Hunter, a first lap down. Austin Hunter, Zachary Burnt, Mike Toomer Jr., all lap down as well. Dylan Smith, 2 down. Tom Massey, 15th, 3 laps down. Matthew Alaka, DNF'd from 16th. That's all top to bottom at the running order here tonight in this one. Let's take the time to speak with Patrick Cowgill. Patrick, first win of the season. How are you feeling?
Oh man, it feels good to finally get that out of the way. I felt like this whole season I've just been struggling and was hating it a lot. But as soon as I found out that Andrew wasn't going to be here, I had this one circled on my calendar.
I was about to say, what was different about tonight compared to the other races in theory, and why?
I think with the road courses, I think the looseness kind of plays into my favor a little bit, with how much I love loose setups and whatnot. And so I think even though I was still struggling with it, other people were just struggling more than I was, which helped a lot.
So with that being said, Milwaukee Miles next. Your thoughts on short track?
Milwaukee Mile, I have not raced in a very long time. Last time I was there, I know I sucked, so I'm probably not going to do great, but I feel better now, so maybe the confidence will help me out a little bit.
Any shout outs you'd like to give here tonight?
Yeah, I gotta thank CTN, MB1 Connect and Cure, the guys in Whataback Racing, you guys at RaceSpot, everybody at PRL, and my wifey for letting me race, and Marty for spinning out and making me less nervous.
Well, congratulations on the run tonight, Patrick.
Thank you guys.
Patrick Cowgill comes away with the win tonight. Second spot went to Zach Panzarella. Zach is with Derek.
Well, Zach, obviously it looks like your road course experience paid off a bit here. You've been known to run some different road course races over time. So how comfortable were you in this truck at Watkins Glen?
Yeah, road course racing was like my first love on iRacing. Before Dalton brought me over to PRL, I was doing mostly Formula V, but still feel somewhat uncomfortable, to be totally honest, in a stock car. I mean, does anyone feel great in a road course in a stock car? But Watkins Glen is a ton of fun. It's a really cool track, and the only thing that's kind of, I guess, rough about Watkins Glen is that a lot of people are good at it. It's not like other road courses where, half the field will struggle to find speed. So you got to bring your A game here. So I'm very proud of that performance. I'm very proud that I was able to bring it home second. Whether or not I deserved it, I feel bad for Marty. Really thought he had a great run going there, but I'll take what I can get. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Looking back on it, is there anything different you could have done to have been competitive with Patrick?
I mean, it's so tough at road courses, and my team, like Tom and Dylan, going into this, they weren't super happy with their speed, but they're also still struggling to string laps together without wrecking. And I'm such a big believer that being, half a second off the pace, but not wrecking ever is so much better than one or two incidents throughout the race that could cost you 45 seconds to a minute and a half. So with that said, I don't think so. I feel like I was at the optimal pace I had for being comfortable, right? Like I could have pushed it harder like I would in qualifying, but I can't do that for 40 minutes without making a mistake, trying to stay on top of the tires and not abusing the truck. Patrick's just that good, and so is Marty. I have no shame, and being 10 seconds behind him after a 40-minute race with no yellows, that's what's going to happen around people that talented. I was just trying to run my own race and let the cards fall where they did.
Fair enough. Well, as we let you head out, anyone you want to say hello to or give shout outs to?
Yeah, let me shout out my team. Dalton, Jose, good luck in the Xfinity race over in Michigan. You guys are going to kill it. Grand National, sorry. Shout out to Tom and Dylan, because I know they were dreading this one, but they brought it, and I think we're going to come out of here still in the championship lead. That means a ton to me. I want that team championship so dang bad. So, especially since how much butt Brett's whipping right now. My focus is on that one. So thank you so much to my team for toughing this one out. Shout out to my fiance, who I know is watching upstairs. Love you. To my family who is watching, all my friends who checked this out. And shout out to RaceSpot for a broadcast that I'm sure will be great. I love the ones where you guys just get to hang out for 40 minutes and do your thing and, just have some good racing the whole time. And shout out to PRL. Excited to finish the season off. Another great, fun season. And going to enjoy being around just the truck guys for these next two races for as long as I can before we combine the two and things get crazy. So thank you to everyone, and yeah, just thanks to everyone for watching, and hope everyone enjoyed the race.
Awesome. Well, great job tonight. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate it. Have a good one, everybody.
All right, that is Zach Panzarella. He finishes P2, Justin, and now I think it's time to catch up with P3.
Yes, indeed. Alex Hillman for the first time on the podium. Alex, how does it feel to be on the podium?
It feels great. I've been improving all season, so this is a nice kind of closing to it.
How would you describe that improvement process to be able to get yourself here?
It's just practicing more. Learning this new truck has been interesting. I've done better this season than I have a couple seasons ago with this new truck setup. So just learning and getting faster.
With that in mind, what's it going to take to be able to keep this performance up the rest of the season?
Practice. We got a short track coming next weekend. I've done decent on the short tracks so far this year. Just hoping to keep improving and keep out of incidents.
Any shout out you'd like to give here tonight?
Just y'all, RaceSpot and PRL for hosting this stuff. Y'all do a great job. And my friends and family that are watching this tonight.
Well, congratulations once again on the run, Alex.
Thank you.
Alex Hillman, rounding out your top three. I'd like to thank the top three for speaking with us during post-race coverage here on RaceSpot. The next time out for the truck's going to be the Milwaukee Mile. That's going to be a different stroke, as we'll see who's going to be able to float their way to the top, Derek.
Yeah, that'll be very curious to see what happens and how things can get tighter into points. It's a very unique style of track. It's just like a Martinsville meets a longer straightaway. So I'm excited for that 1 week from tonight, JP. You and I live in Milwaukee.
8:30 p.m. the start time for that race. Be sure to tune in once again on RaceSpot. But it's time to get ready to flip the page. It's time to head to Brooklyn, Michigan. It's time for a 2-miler. Welcome to tonight's coverage of the PRL Grand National Series as we go big track racing from Michigan. Once again, Justin Prince, Derek Watson with you. A much different schedule. Remember to close things out. Michigan, Daytona, Darlington. The slate for the next 3 races. A much different feel to close out this season.
Yeah, really in this schedule compared to the trucks, we're sort of bookending this schedule with a couple question marks. In Michigan, a big track, not a super speedway package, but can race like it. And of course, Daytona can really change up that points a lot into Darlington. Let's take a look at the points and see how it racks up here, JP, and we'll see where we are. Abner Acosta still has a 20-point lead over Zach Kerr. Bradley Holly's in the picture at 198. Ted Lowendick also in the picture at 194. Jeff Ward at 191. Then from 6 on back, it's O'Brien, Cato, Sink, Morgan, and Zimke. All those drivers would have a lot of work to do to be relevant in the top 5 placements, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, it could get interesting for the championship depending on how things go tonight. Private label team hype, yet again, leading the way in the team standings. Winneback Racing, TNT, and Overdrive. Behind them, 51 and 93 back respectively. Hyperion Racing and XS Esports in 4th. Tabio Rossa in the top 5. Up by 50-point buffers over 6 box. Winneback Racing back row, not having the greatest of seasons though. Back in 7th. Bluegrass, fast forward. Startup Park hasn't had any points scored in 2 weeks. Round out your top 10. That's all.
Yeah, that is your top 10.
Go ahead.
So that's your top 10. A lot of interesting names there involved, and really I was going to talk about this, how close it is up top still. The 51 points in a team battle is not undoable, JP. So we'll wait and see. Here's Zach Kerr on track. We're in the middle of his run here, coming down to the line. See how he does here. Currently at the top of the board, so that won't change. But Richard Regan moves up to 3rd.
Usually first lap, the lap when it comes to these machines. We'll see what happens here tonight, though. Colton Lane taking a wide arc to try and build up speed.
Yeah, taking a nice wide arc. Does not get down to the yellow line, but look at that car wiggling in the back. Look at that car just kind of moving around in the back end. Shows you how difficult this car is to drive. Let's watch Colton here. It's probably going to get down to what we call the first seam. There it is, almost perfectly. No, he gets down deeper than that, JP. And it now comes back out. Let's see if he uses the apron for the speed. A wide out of 4. Digs it down to the bottom. And barely uses the apron for speed here. Let's see where he comes out. 39.554. Yep, that's going to put him 7th on the board.
Of note when it comes to tonight from the penalization side of things, it was a quiet one for the report. Outstanding penalties were for Joshua Tellez and for Paul Williams II. Everybody else allowed to qualify if they so choose. As Lane's in the wall, he tried to full throttle it on a test lap and just destroyed his race car on the cool down. Ted Lowendick yet to set a time.
Right here, so here's Ted, one of our points contenders. And now he's down on the apron. And that. Just watching him go around 39.478, what we're showing. 39.494, sorry, is what Ted, that's third on the board. He is within a tenth of a tenth of a second of Zach Kerr and Jeff Ward. So he'll try to push it hard, gets way wide out of 2. Up against that wall as far as he can be. That's one of the keys of racing well at an oval like this, is tracking out properly. Now down, digs it into 3 and 4 in just a moment. Really, he does in action. Look at that. He's going to ride it way high, JP. If this works, I'd be stunned.
We'll see if he's got an improvement in him. Off by half a second at one point. 0.2 off in the end on the interval. So no change. James Morgan, the only driver not to qualify in the field or set a time. So qualifying is coming to its final conclusions here at Michigan International Speedway. Let's take a look at the starters tonight. Zach Kerr and Jeff Ward on the front row, 17 1/1000ths the difference. Ted Lewendick will start third. Abdur Acosta, known for his long-run pace, in fourth. Richard Regan Jr. looking to put him through his paces, though, for the fifth spot. Ross Cato in sixth position. Jeff Evans and Bradley Hawley, the top 8. Thomas Sink in the 48 and 9th. Mark Galen round out the top 10 in Bossman Racing Equipment. Colton Lane and Daniel Knight start alongside in 11th and 12th positions. Adam Zemke and Mike Knight, followed by Dustin Bumgarner. James O'Brien, 2/10 off the pole, puts him 16th. Nathan Deering bought the track tonight, starts 17th. Jacob Dunn in 18th. 19th goes to Doug Evans, Dalton Geyer in 20th. Jose Medina, Nick McLaughlin, Rodrigo Morales, and James Morgan, your final starters. And so, we prepare for tonight. On a fairly hot racetrack, 79 air temp, 109 Fahrenheit is the track temperature tonight. Derek, your keys to a good race tonight.
Oh, being very aware of your surroundings. Listen, we just came from a race and a track where everyone had space. Everyone had all the space they needed for everything. Here, very unlikely to see lots of space. We can see a bunch of cars in a pack together. Maybe not, two wide super speedway racing, but definitely using those draft and making moves happen. So you need to be aware of where you are at all times. You can be 2, 3, 4 wide at this track very comfortably, but if you don't know it, it'll end very poorly for you.
Who do you think is going to be able to benefit the most from a race style like this tonight?
Oh gosh, I mean, if it goes green and has a long run, which this series is known to do, Abner Costa always benefits well, so we can see that happen. I would like to say I'd love to see Jeff Ward get up there and make it happen. Really, so many names. I mean, this series is stacked tonight with names. It's hard to really say, this will and won't happen. But I know a lot of drivers have put a lot of time in. Richard Regan's back and trying to get himself playoff eligible, so he needs to make a statement. Ross Cato has been right on the verge of greatness. I'm in love with this field top to bottom. And I'm excited for this.
On that real quickly, the playoffs are still expected to be a thing, by the way, for that, Derek, and it's going to be important to be amongst those with consecutive series competed in if you want to compete for a championship.
Yeah, that's going to be important. So let's talk about it. Next season, there'll be no more Grand Nationals. We're going to go trucks only. And right now, we're in that part of PRL signups where it's for returning members only. And I got to tell you, JP, I'm not sure we're going to get any new signups for this league because right now, I think the last I looked before airtime, we're already at 34 or 35 drivers signed up out of a 40-car field for next season. So if you are a returning driver and you hear this and you've not signed up yet, go ahead and sign up and use the promo code RETURNING. This way they can tell you are a returning driver. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next season live here on RaceSpot.
iRacing pace car is off. Happy to have you with us here on RaceSpot for the PRL Grand National Series. Zach Kerr in control. Green flag is out. We're underway from the Irish Hills of Michigan. lot of squabbling, a lot of battling already done in the wall down the back straightaway. Everybody else battling to get to the top. And right now, Zach Kerr seems comfortable just above that first seam. You can't really run below it.
No, you cannot. Maybe the first lap, but after that, you have to get above that first seam. And so for those who don't know what we're talking about, this is a great shot right here. See those dark lines that you see on the track right there? We call them seams. And so typically you want to keep your left tires above that seam. Now for the first few laps, tires are fresh. Everything's kind of cooled off. You can get down there. But I bet after what, JP, 5 laps or so, if you catch yourself under that seam, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
3 wide with Acosta up the middle. After Acosta having to play a lot of defense early on in this one, Ross Cato trying to run the wall.
Yeah, Ross trying something new, wants to get up there and run the wall and see what he can make happen. Now gets in line. There's Abner Acosta way to the inside. Now he's going to move here and now be 3 wide again. That's Cato on the outside, Acosta on the inside.
Richard Regan Jr. zips by Acosta easily. Bradley Holly looking to do the same down the straightaway. Not the start Acosta wanted.
No, not the start he wants at all. He's definitely back here in this herd and needs to get this sorted out as fast as possible. Meanwhile, Zach Kerr's under attack from Jeff Ward. That is close here.
You can just see off corner exit, you can really pinch off and pass by somebody. It's an art form to do it right here at Michigan.
And both ways are an art form, whether you're the car on top or on bottom. The way you handle that corner and try to pass someone is very different, but both very difficult. Here's Abner Acosta on the inside. See, he really has more space to track out and pick up speed than what he does. But he wants to stick down here in front of Mark Kalin. Up front, here's Jeff Ward going for the battle. He's going to be the inside of Zach Kerr. And once again this season, it's Jeff Ward to the lead.
Long-time iRacing veteran, able to jump up to the point. Nearly missed the corner, though. Able to stick to it at the point, though, to clear on by Kerr. And Jeff, in spots, has been mighty quick race contending speed.
Yeah, it's been very quick at times here, part of Bluegrass Motorsports, that 89 machine. So here he is officially leading a lap here as they come back around. When you touch the line, that's when it counts. So it'd be Ward first and Kerr second. There's Richard Regan, by the way, behind him. P3 currently holds the fastest lap of the race. So obviously he wants to be a contender. And on back, you see Jeff Evans, Lowen Dick, Bradley Holly. It's like the who's who of Whataback Racing back there.
But a wall contact and a wrecking. Back of the field, caution flag is out for the first time tonight. Mike Knight amongst those turned around. Jacob Dunn hit the wall again. Thomas Sink involved.
Well, let's take a look and wait and see what happens on the replay before we can really officially say here. But obviously that just shows you how fast a wreck can happen here at Michigan. We were going just fine. And next thing you know, the caution flag is out.
And at least 2 destroyed drivers, Sink and Bumgardner, hearing the cause indeed is going to be the 3 car. This comes just about 5 minutes into the race, Derek.
Well, we talked about awareness and knowing where you are on the track and who's around you, and I suspect that might be a bit of what happens. Just a wide shot of it here. Yep, Dunn had no idea he was 2 or 3 wide and came down a little too far. And in classic sort of oval racing fashion, the car who caused it gets to drive away. To an extent, I mean, he'll take blame for it and he'll have to deal with that later. But really made the best. So watch it again here.
On board, this is Justin Bumgarner.
Oh, man. Steering there, I think it wasn't the blue car, just come up in front of Bumgarner and put him on the wall here. But yeah, that's the awareness you talked about. You have to know. You have to listen to your spotter. Whether you're using the official iRacing spotter, whether you're using maybe some third-party spotters. Man, Zach Kerr cut that close. You have to be aware of where you are at all times. So watch it one more time here. Oh, man, that's how quick it happens. I mean, you're right. From that purple machine of Dunn, Man, and aptly named, those guys were done when that wreck happened, nowhere to go.
3 non-pitters. Regan Jr., Lowen, Dick, and Lane all rolling the dice here, Derek. After about 5-6 laps green, they're taking track position over tires.
So there's a couple more cars down pit road here who maybe took either 0 or 2 tires. That's Kerr and Acosta, only 5-second stops, so it's going to be 0 tires. I'm going to tell you, I don't get it. I respect these drivers and the way they race, and listen, you know, they're great. But listen, and I don't get it for 2 of the 3. For Regan and Lowen Dick, you're already in the front of the field. You know, what did you gain out of this, possibly? For Colton Lane, I sort of get why you need to take a swing at something and try it out. But I'm confused. I know we're only, 5 minutes in, 6 minutes in, but I don't know. At least for gas only, you're setting yourself up better for Acosta, but I'm confused.
Yeah. We'll see if this works out. As it looks like we had at least one penalty. Daniel Knight going from 9th before entering the pit lane to the back with an issue on pit road.
And some would say that's why you don't pit, for the record, right? Some people would say that's why I don't pit, you know, when I don't need to, is because every time I pit, I run the risk of speeding, unsafe entrance, unsafe exit, you know, whatever the laundry list of penalties you can get is. So that's the reason why. But here's the question. You got, so your top 3, Regan on the bottom there, the 56, and what looks to me like the old papyrus style paint scheme. You got Lowen Dick on the top in that blue car. You got Colton Lane in the Valvoline style car in the 60. Those are non-pitters. Your next 2 are Kerr and Acosta. These were about 5-second pit stops, JP. That tells me those are gas only. And then on back from Jeff Ward on back, I believe you're mostly talking about tires and gas.
And so we'll see where they stand when we get going and if we get a substantiated green flag run here.
So I was thinking, go ahead, I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
So I was thinking in my head, where would I want to start here? I have the unknown of 3 drivers who didn't pit. I have the unknown of 2 drivers who put gas in their car but will weight the car down, but they don't have new tires. Then I have cars with new tires. I don't know where I'd want to start here because there's a lot of mystery. There's a lot of possibilities that this could go bad. I might just want to start up front and see what happens. I don't want to be in the middle of this pack.
Still 46 minutes on the clock. We burned about 10 minutes worth. Regan Jr., the control car. Waits all the way to the end of the restart zone. Inside line, gets the better launch for the green.
And Kerr was all over the back in the Lowen Dick right there, as if maybe Teddy didn't get a great start. And now they're already spread out. Well, almost 3 wide for a second. They've got it worked out here. But Lowen Dick lost a lot of ground on this restart.
Probably Holly gaining some on Acosta, nearly in the wall. Ward, caution. Second caution, and Dustin Bumgarner again is in it.
That's 2 in a row. I mean, that's one obviously not his fault. He just got crushed into the wall last time. And well, he was a victim of a crime last time, basically. Let's see what happens this time here, as he's going to tow it on back to pit road. So he is likely done for the evening, is Dustin Bumgarner. Let's see what happens here. That's Deering in the middle. Oh, man, now there's a lack of awareness by Bumgarner. Maybe he didn't know he was 3 wide and kept tracking up here and just came across the front of Nathan Deering.
Deering's already parked it. That investment lasted all of about a few minutes for tonight. And this is going to still be a one-stopper on fuel, by the way, but we'll see how this plays for the track position. The top 3 did not change spots. Here's Deering.
Now watch him Deering here. He's got, see, there's Morgan in front of him. The 68 on the outside, pardon me. And he sort of tried to move up, and he didn't hold his ground. He tried to move up to avoid Bumgarner, but Bumgarner was moving up faster and more aggressively and wrecked that car, unfortunately. Well, as these caution laps continue to tick on, JP, this strategy by Regan, Lane, and Lowendick pays off, because now, you know, it's more laps under yellow, last laps under green to race. It could help even off those tires a little bit. There's Rich Regan, by the way. Got the beautiful set of sponsors behind him on the green screen there. Nice job, Richard, on the self-promotion. We got his name up there. That, you know what, JP, in the world of self-promotion and self-marketing, that is like A+ as far as getting your sponsors out there, right?
Yeah, get them up on the board, make sure they're all visible, make sure they're all in seeable order. Good point.
I saw that cupcake sign, and I haven't had dinner before the broadcast. Do you think we can get Kaylee's Sweet Cupcakes to cater the booth next week?
Is that possible?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a no if you don't ask. I can tell you that. What's that old analogy? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. No, I like cupcakes. Oh, heck, I like food. Let's just be honest about it. But what I also like here is now, like I said, that this strategy is going to pay off a little bit more for Regan, Lane, and Lowendick, because less laps to race new and let these tires warm up, or even off, I should say, for everybody. And then now the story for me, though, JP, I want your reaction to it now that we have a moment to think. Lowendick looked like he had a really bad start there.
Didn't get the greatest of launches. Yeah, I'll give him that. But we'll have to try it again. The inside line has been the better line in a lot of these circumstances for the restart zones. The top line you have to expect will get bogged down at one point.
Yeah, you would expect so. I mean, but that said, with respect to Ted, I think the hardest job in all of iRacing currently with the current restart system we have is starting on the outside. It doesn't feel, in my opinion, fair to the driver on the outside. It feels like you're sort of put at a disadvantage by the rules of the system. So, I mean, with respect to Ted, I do. I think starting on the outside P2 is the hardest thing to do in all of iRacing.
Less than 42 minutes to go on the clock. If we go green, it's expected to be an hour 62 lapper, give or take. Regan Jr. still your leader. Colton Lane, Ted Lowendick, Zach Kerr, Jeff Ward, your top 5. And a lot of fuel saving to make sure drivers can extend these runs here in the pack.
I think the only driver I saw take pit stops this time is still not there. I know James Morgan is getting a lot of repairs on every caution, so he's down pit road, just coming back around to the field on lap 12. Mike Knight was down, but everyone else here, for the most part, I think Daniel Knight may have taken fuel, so Morgan and Knight would be the ones to look at if this stays green.
Let's do this again. Regan Jr., Colton Lane on the front row. This time, the inside line got a big jump. This time, it will again. Not a good launch for the 72, though.
No, again, not a great launch for the 72. He's just having a hard time on restarts tonight here. So now it's going to be Regan, Lane, Lowendick in that order with Zach Kerr in P4.
A lot of people testing out different lines right now. Kerr already side by side for third.
Doing a great job here is Zach Kerr. And this field right now is mostly calm, JP. Look at that camera shot up and down the field. Really at most only 2 wide here for the most part. Nothing too frantic is happening. But oh my gosh, Ted Lowendick not clear. There's a car up there, Teddy.
Got a little bit dicey for a moment. Bradley Hawley looks to dice his way up another spot. He and Jeff Ward to the inside.
Yeah, Bradley, a Waterback teammate of Ted Lowendick. Now he's going to try to make the pass. Brad's got the purple lights this week to match that paint scheme. So he'll have a run here with the 184 down the back straight. Gives a little wave. Must know he's live on camera. And we'll now complete the pass on Teddy. And I suspect we'll probably slide job it on up the track here, I would think, out of 4.
He looks very enthused right now. Just very excited to be here.
He might be in food coma, JP. I know that Bradley had himself a nice big order of Wingstop wings tonight. And that's some of the best wings you can get here in the States, in my opinion, is Wingstop. So he might be suffering from food coma, but look at Abner falling way back here. Man, not in a coma, but his race looks to be like on life support if he keeps falling back that deep in the field.
Yeah, it's not looking great at all for Acosta. Can't tell if he's saving aggressively or just is struggling this hard.
I think he's struggling. I mean, saving this aggressively is a weird thing. I don't know, but now the 17 is going to go on by, and others are going to get by Abner Acosta as well. That's going to be Daniel Knight passing him by. That's Mark Kalin right behind him. Look at this cluster of cars behind him trying to make a move because Abner's just off pace.
So it's like he's missing a cylinder.
Yeah, something, right? This feels like he's missing maybe the confidence to make a move. I don't know what he's missing. But yeah, that's really odd. Now back in line, maybe he can get a bit of a draft here and find his way here. He's now going to be here in line with Abner Acosta. He's got Jacob Dunn and I think Jose Medina behind him.
Up front, Bradley Holly up to third. First of those on the fresher tires. Seems to be doing this very patiently. Track position seems to be holding steady for now.
I'll tell you what, Bradley Holly looked to me to be a little impatient there with Colton Lane. I think Holly thought he had more run and more speed, but Lane was just in the way a little bit. So let's see how they behave here into the corner. Holly's going to provide that little bit of draft to Colton Lane to help push Colton to the lead possibly. Become now out of 3 and 4. Now they're 3 wide.
Trying to get under him, he does. Only able to get alongside the 60. This is for second.
This is for second. This is a great battle up here for second right now. And of course, if you're Richard Regan, you want that battle to happen. But nope, they've got it settled. Holly now makes the pass and will come up and track out here and be in front of Lane. And now it's Bradley Holly and Richard Regan. I've seen this battle before somewhere.
Right now, this battle, seeing Holly wrap the bottom. A lot of people try to wrap the yellow line in 3 and 4 tonight. It seems to be working, interestingly enough.
Yeah, I'm surprised that all the way down is working. I thought to the first seam would have been the line to run, but I think you can get down there and you can sort of dig it in, and then, you know, what we call now, thanks to Dale Jr., the slide job line, and slide it back out. But you can't run that line consistently. If you're going to get down there, it has to be a commitment to get down there, pass, and slide back out. If you try to run down there, I think you'll have a harder time sticking to it. But here comes the pass. Now it's Holly passing on Regan in turn 3.
Trying to do it on the inside, going to be difficult. Fresher tires able to keep them dead even. Regan Jr. with more momentum high side for the time being. Jeff Ward also up to third, is in the popcorn seat as Holly gets a better entry and clears.
Yep, great job by Holly there. And now has him cleared. Now let's see if Regan can perform the undercut. My goodness. Hold on, wrecking. Middle of the field, wrecking. That's
no.
Ted Lowendick, I believe, isn't it?
Ted Lowendick in the middle of the field goes around, and we're under caution. And this is going to potentially be a weird one. He had nobody able to see him for half the track, Derek.
Yeah, this is going to be probably a bit of a connection problem. So we might have to look at this replay from other cars to see what happened here. But there's just going to be weird, JP. Is now after our third yellow. Now some questions creep in. Did Regan and Lane know something we didn't about pitting? You know, that'll be the question right now. Well, let's take a look here, see what we can find. This will be from Abner Acosta. Watch this here. You see this? Oh, this kind of reappears. Hello. Like he had like a Harry Potter spell to sort of like teleport him back in, right?
Yeah, that was never going to work to survive. He's lucky he didn't get any damage there. Got a 4X. Jacob Dunn somehow got one with James O'Brien. But
yeah, listen, and that's okay. That's one of the few times in iRacing that you're okay with the 4X because you know it could have been, you know, way worse than that.
And 21, 22 laps into the run, Regan Jr.'s called to stay out here worked. Colton Lane's called to stay out last time to the cycle. Worked out like a charm. This time, everybody having to come down. And should be 4 tires and fuel throughout. And Regan Jr. is pushing Holly.
Yeah, Regan obviously not happy with, maybe he thought what Holly's entrance speed was, and I don't know what's going on there.
And he missed the box for good measure.
Of course he did.
So, oh, and Ted Lowendick has crashed into pit road.
Yeah, that's not going to help anything for Ted, unfortunately. We had just a rough 2, 3, 4 laps for Ted, unfortunately, but yeah.
You're 6, 7, 8 wide just about for a moment on pit exit. Regan Jr.'s mistake cost him several spots. Jeff Ward got out second behind Holly. Kerr, Lane, Ross Cato behind Regan Jr. in 6th. Zepke, Evans, Kalen, amongst your front runners off the lane. And now, this is going to be a test, Derek.
It'll be a test in a lot of ways, right? It's a test of just a lot of skill. You know, everyone's kind of pitted together now, so that's all done. So now we're all back in the same strategy. We've all got the same tires. We've all got the same everything going on. So now it's just a test of nerve to see who can do what. Well, JP, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you know your Harry Potter movies?
No.
Okay, well, that kills my next question. Thank you very much. I was going to ask, I said earlier that Teddy sort of used the Harry Potter spell for teleportation to reappear. I was kind of curious if you knew the Harry Potter spell for teleportation.
I do not.
Okay. I know that I'm going to get to pronounce this wrong, so the Harry Potter nerds are going to kill me for this. I know it is Alarte Ascender. And you wave your wand, and you say it out loud, and it causes someone to lift in the air. That's as close as I get to teleportation with Harry Potter spells, but yeah. Let's watch it again here. This will be a double shot. This is Richard Regan bumping Bradley Holly down pit road.
No speeding penalties from this, but it's not
It's
well
more-
appreciated when you're riding on the bumper like this.
This is less about speeding and more about the mental game, right? Just say the, hey, how are you? Let you know I'm here, you know, stuff of that nature. So, in a way, I think Regan probably sees it as a sign of respect for Holly that, you know, hey, I'll come bump you and say hello. I respect how you race, and I just kind of want to play the mind game with you. For Holly, probably ticks you off a little bit that someone's, you know, beating your back bumper down pit road.
3 cautions now this race. Bradley Holly this time for the first time in control. It's one of several leaders now. We'll see how this one goes. Green, green, green. Back underway. And side by side for second. Kerr got a great launch.
Kerr got an amazing launch, but Jeff Ward now on the outside will get that engine wound up a little faster. But Kerr's all the way to the yellow again, about to be 3 wide with Regan there. And meanwhile, Bradley Holly's trying to pull away as these guys fight behind him. But it is mostly 2 wide all the way back through this pack, JP. Look at all the battles happening at once here. But now Jeff Ward's trying to close in on Bradley Holly.
Trying to get it done on the high side. Able to get alongside. Holly electing to work from the middle bottom. Jeff Ward has led a couple laps so far tonight. He wants that lead back. 3 wide behind him.
Yeah, that was Jeff Evans on the inside. Mark Kinlan in the middle. So a couple of classic veteran drivers showing off how 3 wide can work here at Michigan. Showing off that awareness we talked about. And that's Ross Cato on the outside of that 3 wide as they still run that on back here.
Ross Cato Still working the inside. By the way, Ward has taken the lead, but Kerr's looking to take second.
Kerr is definitely looking to come back around here, see if he can claim the lead back that he once had here. Ward's doing an amazing job. Officially at the line is your leader for this lap here.
A lot of hard fighting with Ward getting the new fastest lap of the race. Purple for your race leader. Zemke up to a race high 5th in the choo-choo train up top.
Yeah, Zemke is doing great. Lots of names up and down the board here, having moments here. Mark Kalen's up in P7. You know, Colton Lane's in P8. You know, lots of greatness. But I mean, that 1 to 6 out like a sore thumb to me, JP. Abner Acosta in P13. That's not normal.
It's not been a great night at all for Abner. An absolute shock on the pace. Looking at Cato. I think Cato stayed up top most of this race. Side by side for the race lead yet again, though. Zach Kerr took the fastest lap. He looks to take the point.
Doing a great job here to the inside is Zach Kerr. And now that emotion of the driver's beginning to kick in a little bit. Now that adrenaline's beginning to pump a little bit. Now you're too wide racing. We've got a couple cautions out of our way. Now we're live. It's just go fast. Everyone knows they're most likely good on fuel and probably guaranteed to be good on fuel. So now you get to kind of put the throttle down, easy for me to say, and go for it.
Now a crossover attempt for Ward. Kerr has preferred the top in 3 and 4, though. Tries to get it done in 1 and 2. Able to get the run back to push Ward. The top 2 are running away.
Yeah, look at that. They are running away. They're sort of in line, are Ward and Kerr. They're not going to fight this out. They're just going to get up there and run away with it for now at least. And that leaves Regan, Holly, Zimke, and Mark Kalen trying to find a way to close that gap.
And that's easier said than done here. It's draft intensive, yes, here, but it's not as strong as some may think.
No, and definitely not in these cars, right? I don't know if people tuned in to RaceSpot on Monday night for the Real Sim Racing Series. When we saw the Cup cars come here, that draft was a little stronger than it is in these vehicles, and the bump was a little stronger than it is in these vehicles. So it's there, it's prevalent, but it's not, you know, at Daytona. It's not a Dega. You know, you're going to still work at this. You can't just draft someone and pass them very easily.
Right now, Holly pointing the line. Zemke, all over the back bumper. Just right in the rear end, trying to close the gap now. Zemke having a stellar run. Same for Mark Kalen, 10th to 6th so far tonight. Of note, Jacob Dunn has also moved up to the field to the 11th spot. More wall contact to the heart of the field. Bubbles the wall sponge so far, making the bottom work. Wrote this run, though, in the 62.
Yeah, Mark's having a great run here, isn't he? Just really showing off those skills. And at times, it feels like Mark figures it out, doesn't it? At times, he just seems to know what track and run well. And at times, it's like Mark doesn't know what track. And, you know, for Mark to maybe to be a title contender, JP, he needs to kind of have that balance where of slowly just kind of, I guess, getting better at a track, to put it nicely. I don't know how to say it.
Zemke right now is just looking for luck.
Yeah.
You're saying?
I'm saying maybe consistency is the word I was looking for Kalen. Maybe more consistency on the tracks he's not as great at. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of as a word.
You know who's finding some? Jacob Dunn. Your thoughts on Dunn, who has had a very rough time against the outside sometimes tonight?
Well, my first thought is he needs to be grateful, because for the damage he had and the collision he had earlier, he's running pretty well, right? He's doing a great job here. The Alabama native is really just trying to get better and better at iRacing and as these cars as the weeks go on, and I'm proud of him for that effort here. So right now, running a P10, you know, just needs to stay in line and figure it out here. But he's doing a great job. Here's Mark Kalen, part of Boss Man Racing in the 62, right behind Colton Lane. And maybe give it a little bump right there. You know, for those of us who are fans of Whataback Racing, we saw sort of this battle happen earlier this week in a different way, JP. Whataback has their own CFB 25 dynasty going, and we just got to watch Kalen and Lane duke it out in CFB 25 a couple days ago.
Battle is on in the heart of the field. Regan Jr. to the outside. This is for second.
Doing a great job. Look at that. My goodness, Zach Kerr. I wasn't sure was going to wait to be clear before he came up, but he did. So nice moment there. And now it's Regan back to P2. Now he's going to run down Jeff Ward. And listen, if there's someone I wouldn't want running me down, it's probably Richard Regan.
It's worth noting, hearing some clutch and coasting from a couple drivers in the field. Once those was Kalen last time by through 3 and 4. Acosta is trying to battle it out with James Morgan. Not one of those. In fact, Morgan, your biggest mover, up 11.
Yeah, Morgan's doing a great job. Didn't qualify tonight, so had to start in the back of the field and has avoided a couple of wrecks and has really had almost a bird's eye view for at least 1 or 2 of them so far. So has narrowly avoided some damage at times, but doing a great job. I mean, Abner is just really, this must not be a track he loves because, you know, I keep harping on the same story, but Abner, typically a long run driver, would be moving through the field right now. And right now, that is not happening.
Holly's going the wrong way, though. He is now under attack by Zemke again. This time, Zemke able to get alongside at least. And Holly does have rear end damage.
Yeah, he does. And I was trying to figure out what may be happening right now, JP. What's causing these cars to behave this way? And I wonder if it's just that, you know, this track is beginning to cool off as the day goes on. I wonder if we're starting to see a difference in maybe the drivers who practice under the heat are having a hard time adjusting to this cooler track. I don't know. But, I mean, to see Holly falling back is a little bit of a surprise here in this moment. See the battery, that's Holly, that's Zemke, that's Ross Cato in that white and orange machine. That's Colton Lane, and I believe Mark Kalen and Daniel Knight on behind him.
Despite the damage, Holly's doing a good job defensively, but not going to last so much longer. A side draft from Holly.
Yeah, and unlike some other tracks we've seen on the schedule this season, maybe the Indianapolis Lucas Oil track, or maybe, you know, other short tracks we're going to visit this season or next season, as Zemke got way wide, you're going to find out that aerodynamics matter here. You know, not even a broken car, but a beat-up car with some damage at Michigan. You'll feel like you're just kind of driving with like a parachute attached to the back of it if you're not careful.
Colton Lane wanting some spots back. Now going after Zemke after Ross Cato slid his way to 5th.
And Cato really is someone I've talked about a lot. I like watching Ross race. He's consistent. He's clean. Very rarely do I say caution and Ross Cato together. He's usually not involved with the cause of those cautions. Just kind of runs a very quiet, consistent race. And I love that about a driver. That's my key driver, because I believe if you run enough quiet, consistent races, you'll put it together and you'll get to victory lane. You don't have to be flashy and controversial to do it.
Right now, Jeff Evans, Jacob Dunn fighting it out. It's been a rough night for O'Brien, by the way. Usually you've seen him go to the field, get towards the front, not tonight.
Yeah, a very, very different night for private label Team Hype. Both him and Acosta having that. They've sort of got James Morgan kind of sandwiched here right now between them. So I guess you could say they're like the bread and the James Morgan sandwich.
Yeah, not the plan for a team, but Morgan saw John on the charge. Offset 3 wide. O'Brien forces his way on through.
There's Jacob Dunn outside, back in the picture again. So now you got the 2 teammates from Tabula Rasa lined up here. See if they can make anything of that opportunity here, as they are back there running, back there 12th on back.
And right now, the multi-group racing being emphasized here. 3 wide for a moment. What's that 3 wide like in the heart of the moment, in the heat of the moment, rather?
It's difficult, right? Because at a track like this, when someone says you're 3 wide, there's so much track here. There's so much space that you don't know if that means 3 wide, like we're all, rubbing doors. Does it mean we're 3 wide, but I could put a 4th car in there? Even when you say, hey, you're 3 wide, you don't know how close you are just to one of those cars, much less 2 of them. So if we're going to be 3 wide, I want to be on the bottom or the top. And that sounds weird, but the reason being, JP, I have one of my 2 sides covered. Either I have the wall on the outside or I have the yellow lane on the inside to know some kind of reference marker for space. When you're in the middle, it is hard to judge that 3 wide middle and where you can and can't move.
Speaking of 3 wide, that's just seen a lot of bumping and contact for Daniel Knight to the side of Holly in that bump. And Holly's car is falling off. After holding on so well, despite the damage, the car's given up.
Yeah, the car's given up, unfortunately, and that's maybe a sign sometimes you have to go back there and fix that damage if there is any. And who knows if there was any. Sometimes iRacing will tell you that there's not anything to actually repair. And maybe that's where Holly was, or maybe he just didn't want to stop and take the damage repairs. Either of those could be true statements. We'll have to wait and find out. Here's O'Brien making the pass here. Mark Kalin is the victim, but Colton Lane surging on the bottom, trying to keep in this picture.
We have one in the wall. It's Daniel Knight. O'Brien scatters to avoid. That opens the door for Kalin.
Yeah, Daniel Knight got up there, and great job by everybody, by Daniel Knight for keeping up in the wall, and for everyone for having that awareness we talked about all night long to recognize this, to get under him and keep moving so we can stay green here with 17 and a half minutes left. This is becoming a fun race.
Fun, fun, fun. Some will say.
Till Daddy takes our T-Bird away.
I'm sorry, huh?
That's an old song. Beach Boys, I think. I'll look this up later, but I'm not going to sing for copyright reasons, but yeah. Fun, fun, fun till Daddy takes our T-Bird away.
That is
Me
so
and like
random.
4 other viewers just got that. Let's move on.
Up front, Richard Regan Jr. pressurizing Ward. It's been slowly chipping away. Now he's all over the bumper.
And what I love about this is how Zach Kerr is staying right there with him too. Zach Kerr is not letting these 2 pull away. He says, hey, Regan, if you're going to get up there, so am I. But look at this. Regan's just being a menace right now. He's not touching. He's not bumping. He's not doing anything illegal. Just letting his presence be felt. Just saying, hi, how are you? I'm here. And kind of reminding Jeff Ward of that. But Zach Kerr's also doing the same thing to Richard Regan. So Regan has to be careful in the move he wants to make here, JP. If Regan, for example, dives a corner and misses it, he's not just going to miss the lead. He'll possibly fall out of second and back into third. So now Regan has to be more calculated.
And right now, a lot of thinking going on amongst these drivers. Thinky time is on for Zach Kerr in particular. He's trying to find clean air wherever he can get it.
That's what everybody's trying to do here. Man, Kerr slides way up the track there. Came from the bottom and almost got it up there. But look at Colton Lane becoming visible. He's out of the pits, so this is not for position. I do want to point that out. He's trying to get himself unlapped, what we call the natural way, the old-fashioned way. And I'm a little surprised. Maybe we'll see what happens here as he gets to Regan, who is up in the lead, by the way, over Jeff Ward. Yeah, Colton Lane just zooms right on by, and they're going to let him go.
He pit about a lap and a half ago. Colton Lane to open up the window. 15 minutes to go in this race. Point of return about 4 minutes to go tonight.
That makes you think that maybe some other drivers who we thought maybe were confident and clutching and coasting and whatever, maybe now this question becomes more relevant of when and who, because if Colton Lane can't do it, can anyone do it?
Huge question as they fight hard for the lead. Ward slides in. Contact. Him and Regan Jr. make contact. Zach Kerr tries on by.
Wow. That's a big moment right there. Everyone stays safe and it stays green. But the contact between Regan and Ward just let Kerr take away with it. Let's watch here real quick. Regan's going to get by clean. No return of a message. I thought maybe Regan would have some quote-unquote words of his own, but no, he just drove on by.
In the pack, meanwhile, nobody else has pit so far. Holly's descent continues. And Kalen is still clutching hard.
And that makes you wonder too, right? If Kalen's still clutching hard, is he just trying to make it without the pit stop? Does that make you wonder if others are doing it, or if others can make it? Now that mental game is coming into play here. Let's listen to Mark Kalen though.
Well, yeah, that needle going straight to 2K.
Watch it again one more time here. So, yeah, you know, JP, I mean, I don't know if I'm surprised. Listen, drivers will do anything they can to try and find an advantage here. But what I guess I'm surprised by, though, is that Kalen's doing this and clutching and coasting, and he's not getting passed by Evans or the other cars behind him. So either they're all doing it, or he's making up great time with it. I'm not sure which.
For the lead again. Regan Jr. outside. Kerr inside. Kerr is getting loose, and now Kerr is clutching.
This is becoming more and more prevalent here. Look at how close Kerr and Regan are. Now, these are the drivers you would think would be burning the most fuel, JP, because they have been the ones out front and racing. They have not really stopped to breathe, quote unquote. So if anyone's going to be out of fuel, I would suspect these three gentlemen would be at the top of the list here. This is Kerr, Regan, and Jeff Ward. Now, Jeff Ward's kind of quietly tucked in behind Regan here, not really being that aggressive. Now he's tucked in behind Kerr. Is Jeff Ward trying to do this without clutching, just by, you know, saving that gas from drafting? Or maybe everyone here has just kind of relegated themselves to saying, hey, we're going to have to pit. So let's just go have fun. Let's just put the gas down and go do it. We're going to have to pit regardless.
Looking at Colton Lane, he's gaining a second a lap, by the way, so not as much fall off as one would expect tonight. Fall off as high as 2 seconds for some in the field tonight. Ross Cato's pushing to get there as well. Abner Acosta started to push now too.
Yeah, that shows you just how much tire fall off is relevant here. You mentioned that 2-second number. And Jeff Ward is pitting, by the way. Jeff Ward down pit road, knew he could not make it, so he is down there and trying to just get some gas to get to the end. But that 2-second number is what I heard during practice from different drivers of how bad the fall off could be here on these tires. And so everyone talked about tires being king and, you know, how powerful new tires are. So you're seeing that live in the numbers right here. But here's Abner Acosta, as you said, finally moving forward, finally up to P7. And really, for the first time tonight, it feels like he's making moves in the field.
Regan Jr. enters the pit lane. He is in. Hearing Ross Cato also in. Also heard there was a mistake for Ward. He missed his pit stall, so it's going to cost him time. Regan Jr. going to be very tight with Ward here as a result.
So this is sort of interesting to me, JP, because there was a big, I would call it a kerfuffle last season between Regan Bogue Motorsports and the rest of PRL, or some other members of PRL in Grand Nationals, because of fuel saving, and fuel mileage. And RBM was not doing a great job at fuel saving, and others were. And Regan Jr. and Reese Bogue and others threw away a couple races by doing that. But here's some more people down pit road. So this may not be a case of fuel saving. This may be a case of just not doable for the field.
Zach Kerr, who was clutching a bit in. O'Brien, who got up to second in. Zemke in. Of note, Regan Jr. also missed part of his pit stall, so that cost him a lot of time again. The net advantage between those, Regan Jr. got the net advantage because he took 2 tires. That's an option, Derek, with less than 10 minutes to go.
That is an option. I'm curious to see how it works. I am skeptical of how it works, but hey, I'm open-minded to new ideas. You never know what's going to happen here. So we'll try it out. But for right now, Abner Acosta has cycled around to your leader with a massive, massive lead over different drivers here. So okay, so the reason why we're showing Colton Lane, sorry, is because he is the first person to have pitted here. That's why we're curious at that time gap and how it closes with those new tires. Colton Lane, pardon me, is not the first person closest to Abner Acosta. That'd be Daniel Knight for the moment and Jeff Evans.
A huge question on what happens now with Acosta. He's struggled all night, Derek. Is this going to hold for 8 more minutes?
Now, there's a moment early in this race and early in this broadcast when you used the word saving, and you said, is Abner Acosta saving something? And I kind of thought that sounded crazy, but maybe that's why he's been back in the field. Maybe that's why he's been around other cars. It's sort of so he can lift a little bit, so he can save some gas, but I don't think so. I think everybody has to come down here, maybe with the exception of a couple drivers who were pitting on every pit stop in order to fix some damage. I think everybody has to come down here at some point. I really do. If Richard Regan and James O'Brien both couldn't do it, I imagine everyone's in trouble of not doing it.
New fast lap, James O'Brien. Daniel Knight. He just took the race lead away from Abner Acosta. And the plot thickens.
Yeah, it really does thicken, doesn't it, right? It just shows another time where Abner Acosta hasn't necessarily been the fastest car in that moment. But if you want to think Abner Acosta is saving fuel, why not back up? Why not let Daniel Knight get up there? Why not save what you have and see if you can make use of it later? But right now, the problem he's going to have is Daniel Knight is quickly pulling away and not really close enough to get any real substantive amount of draft off of Daniel Knight.
Colton Lane getting reeled on in. Regan Jr.'s got the fishing rod. It's down to under 10 car lengths. Last time by, near a second gain.
Yeah, so you can see how much that's happening here, what those new tires mean. Look at those times that Regan is pulling here. I mean, oh, wow, you said almost a second. You're right. 0.8 of a second, 1, 2, 3 times in a row. That's got to feel great if you're Richard Regan.
And 10 estimated laps to go. At the stripe is the call. You're talking about 47 laps. That is not easy at all for these leaders.
No, I think I heard during practice some people saying 43 to 46 was what they thought this tank could go. So I'm curious to see who's going to try and push it and who tries to do what with this car. Here's Doug Evans and Ted Lowendick. This is 11th and 12th, by the way. This is still further a little back on the field. Teddy at one point, JP, was up in P2.
Yeah, then his connection didn't work. And I think both are trying to save a bit here.
Well, what doesn't make sense to me, JP, is if you're trying to save, why in the holy heck are you side-by-side racing? If you are trying to save, get behind Lowendick. Get behind him. That's how you save gas on an oval for the most part. Yes, you can lift and coast, and that does work. And don't misunderstand me. But you get behind him and you let his draft punch that air, and you go 80% throttle. I don't understand. There's Ted finally getting behind, but they're going to go. Are they going to? Nope. Okay, they're finally going to stay in line.
Most of the drivers that are lengthily stinting this are starting to clutch and coast. Nick McLaughlin, James Morgan also doing it.
Yep, and again, Morgan, get up in line and get behind him and save some gas, for Pete's sake. This to me is fuel saving 101, either in road or oval racing. Get behind someone and draft. I don't get why we're having a hard time here. But let's watch this now. Daniel Knight is your leader. Richard Regan, we think, would be your leader if everyone does pit. And look at Regan gaining time. 1.1, 1.06, 1.12. are the last 3 laps we have in the system right now for Regan to compare. So he is closing quickly on Daniel Knight.
Following on board with him. And Knight is not clutch and coasting, keep in mind. He is, if anything, just trying to extend this gap. Has to be hoping for a caution flag if he's not safe.
Yeah, unless he knows something we don't, which I can't imagine what that would be. You're right. He's hoping that a yellow comes out. And at that point, the race is over. We are within that 4-minute window. There's no way we go green again here. Ross Cato makes a pass in Colton Lane. Jeff Ward's coming to the bottom to make the pass in Colton Lane. This is for 15th on back currently.
These are the P3 of the pitters. Coming up to 5 laps estimated to go. And there are 3.5 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, so we'll complete the laps if we stay green. That we'll get, time will be fine. We'll do all that. But if we go yellow here, we're done. That is going to be where that yellow flag comes out is when we finish this race here. So they need to keep this clean. But we've done that for a long time tonight, so I'm not that concerned here. But again, here's Abner Acosta now doing a great job up being scored in P2 with Mark Kalin in P3.
Remember, Kalin had been a hard saver from the onset. Acosta just trying to wrap the bottom right now and keep it slower on the throttle.
And Kalin right now trying to wrap the top and trying to gain that speed out of that corner. For all the clutching and coasting we heard Kalin doing earlier, if you're going to race that aggressively with less than 2.5 minutes to go, you must think you're good on gas. Here's Evans and Jose Medina. This is for 4th and 5th. They're now battling pretty hard here.
Yeah, they're amongst those rolling the dice significantly right now.
So JP, what has me concerned, I want to point this out to you, and I know you know this, is the biggest fear I have right now is what happens if someone runs out of gas. Not that they're not going to win the race, that's obvious, but how does that car behave? Do they not end up?
We have Daniel Knight in the pit lane. Knight has pressed the ejector cord. Mark Kalin is now your leader with under 2 minutes to go, and he is still clutching.
Wow, I'll tell you what, that must be a big smile on the driver for Boss Man Racing, that number 62, Mark Kalin, because he knows right now he is 1 yellow flag away from winning this race. Now, can he make it these laps? Can he make it here with Abner Acosta running him down? If I was Mark Kalin, JP, I'd be backing this up even more. You have 2 seconds for lead on Abner Acosta. You only need to win by 1/10 of a second. There's no need to be that far ahead if you're worried about fuel.
And Abner Acosta can't make it. He's not been clutching. He's been trying to roll it through the throttle, and he has to come in with about 2 laps to go.
My goodness, look at this gap Mark Kalin has now. 2.5 seconds back to Jeff Evans. Jose Medina's in 3rd. James Morgan's in 4th. Nick McLaughlin, Jacob Dunn, your top 6. This is a very different set of names. This is what a fuel mileage race will do to you. It will show some new names at the top. We try new things here. We're coming around to the white flag, JP.
Oh, we have someone out of fuel in the back straight away. Jose Medina, he's on the apron. Will he maintain speed to keep it green? It looks like the answer is yes. Mark Kalin sees the white flag. He needs to make it 2 more miles.
And if you're Mark Kalin, you don't want to see Jose Medina parked on the inside. You don't want to have any evidence that shows that there's doubt here. Look at this huge save, and it's okay to save. You're 3 seconds ahead of Jeff Evans. Why not save? Well, you don't need to win by 3 seconds.
Jeff Evans is in the same boat. He's losing tons of ground. Mark Kalin trying to let it coast from here.
I would think by now he's almost good. Even if he runs out of gas, he should be almost good from here. Get it out of the corner, and I think you're home free.
He is home free. Mark Kalin wins it at Michigan.
Man, that feels good. Let me tell you something. Just, you're getting out of fuel. Morgan just gave up P3 at the last second right there, JP. But man, doesn't that feel good for Mark to see Mark Kalin do that? Someone who works hard for everything, man. Yeah, a lot happening here.
And hearing a lot of people out of gas. Ted Lowendick out of gas on the front straightaway. These two, including Jacob Dunn, out of the gas. Dalton Geyer out of gas. He just stops it on the racetrack. It was right at the edge of the possible tank distance.
Wow, Mark Kalin wins. Fuel managed race. I don't think he... I'm going to ask you, JP, I'm going to put you in the spot. Can he do the donut? Does he have the gas for it?
I'm not sure. His car just shut off.
Yeah, if he does, he's been fooling us all. Oh, he's got it parked up there. What's he going to do with it?
He tried it. He ran out of gas.
He's done.
Let's take a look at the results as Mark Kalin wins on fumes over Jeff Evans and Nick McLaughlin. Morgan, Regan Jr., your top 5. Zach Kerr, Doug Evans, Jeff Ward, Bradley Holly, and Ross Cato amongst your top 10 finishers. 11th spot tonight on the second page. Going to go to the way of the 3-3. James O'Brien, Adam Zemke, Colton Lane, Ted Lowendick amongst those out of fumes on the last lap. Daniel Knight pit with 3 laps to go. Jacob Dunn, Dalton Geyer, Abner Acosta, Rodrigo Morales, and Jose Medina. Your top 20 Medina 2 laps down to the end. DNFs include Mike Knight, Thomas Sink, Dustin Baumgartner, and Nathan Deering. Let's take the time to regroup here, Derek. Waiting from one back. 1, 2, 3 for them. What a night.
Wow. Like, unbelievable to like have just that style of race and that style of moment here. Like, that's what a fuel mileage race will do. It gets exciting and it brings up new names to the front of the board here. And I'm excited for Mark Kalin. I really am. I'm stoked for Mark Kalin. Like, I just want to do this, JP. I'm going to break the mold. I want to bring all 3. Here's Mark Kalin. Here's Jeff Evans. Here's Nick McLaughlin. This is like a Whataback Racing press conference right now. You guys just pulled off the impossible. So, Mark, let's start with you. When did you know you were good?
Never. I started clutching it from the get-go, pretty much. Daniel even got into the back of me because he didn't know I was doing it. But, oh my God, I cannot believe this just happened. Holy Hannah.
So, like, in the last couple laps, you saw drivers running out. We saw Jose Medina come down. We saw others coming down to pit. Did it create, did the doubt creep in? Or were you just like, hey, I'm going to do it?
No, there was a small amount of doubt, but I laid in my bed and was hoping for the best. My whole body started shaking with like 5 laps to go. More cars started pitting. And, oh my God, I can't tell you how long I've waited for this. I've been so close so many times to finally get that win in the Oval Series after 4 years of trying. Holy shit. Sorry for my language.
I think it's okay.
I was just, I'll add to that. I was really hoping Mark was off on his math. I was super conflicted because I knew Mark hadn't gotten a win yet, and I was, obviously hoping for him to win, but at the same time, I knew I was good to the end if I kept hitting my marks, and I was really hoping he couldn't do the math right to to get there at the end.
And then, Nick, you were kind of back in the fray a little bit. You were seeing drivers run out of gas as the laps were ticking down. What was that like for you, just to kind of get to pass people as they were pitting?
Oh, it's intense, man. I've been clutching for half the race. Like, I'm through the roof right now. This is my first oval podium running PRL. I'm usually just kind of a mid-pack guy, so this is unreal for me. What a battle with James Morgan coming to the line. I think he ran out of fuel as we came out of 4, so that was intense. I'm shaking.
Wow, this is possibly, I know there's been Whataback 1, 2, 3s before, but maybe the most unpredictable Whataback 1, 2, 3. Jeff, you like to do sports betting. If there had been a sports odds on this being your 1, 2, 3 Whataback, would this been like 10,000 to 1?
I mean, yeah, it would have been probably on par with like like Leicester winning the Premier League years ago, or what was that really weird like Daytona top 5 or something like that a couple of years ago, or Talladega that one guy hit a parlay on. It would have been similar to that. I mean, just the odds of that happening with the three of us, like we kind of flirt with it like on our own occasionally, but never like all three of us at the same time. So
Let's face it, anyone that had me pegged for a podium was out of their mind.
And
Fair
anyone
enough.
pegging me for a win was right there with you.
Well, Mark, maybe not the success you want in CFB 25 lately, but I think you made up for it in PRL tonight.
Oh, 1000%. I mean, this, like I said, has been coming for a long time. I've maybe not put as much work as I could have into it, but I still put in work, and the competition in this league is just so fierce. It's a struggle. And if you're not one of the top drivers like a Richard Regan, a Bradley Holly, any of them
Abner.
fellows, Abner,
Whoa,
I mean,
hold on. I'm going to stop you for a second. After winning tonight, if you're not a top driver like Mark Kalin, that's the next line of that sentence. That's what you get to say now.
I appreciate that, but I'm still mediocre. Okay, let's keep our realistic, imagination here.
top tier
But-
fuel saver.
Holy cow! I didn't know I could save fuel like that, but I did it tonight, and I just can't believe it, Derek. I'm over the moon.
Well, I'm proud of you. I'm sure the party is starting in Whataback Discord, so I'm going to let you guys get there. I might be there for a few minutes afterwards, but congrats to all three of you, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
thank you guys. Y'all have a good one and hell of a show.
There it is. Hell of a show indeed. Well, JP, what more could you want out of a race? Surprise, mystery, intrigue, drama, all wrapped up in one.
And a wild finish to boot as a result of the fuel mileage. In the end, Mark Kalin gets it done tonight at MIS. He knew what to do from the onset. Remember, the next time out for this series, it's going to be Daytona. And it's super speedway racing, 9:30 p.m. the start time. Be sure to tune in here on RaceSpot. And that should be an interesting one to see how teamwork comes to play there.
Well, right now there's one team who's pumped. I can tell you that, and that's Whataback. And man, tonight, usually next week the wild card is at Daytona, but Mark Kalin pulls off a shocker at MIS.
On that note, it's time to say goodbye for tonight's coverage. For our producer, Dustin Owens, for our spotter, Nick Hunter, for my co-announcer, Derek Watson, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching the PRL Truck and Grand National Series here on RaceSpot.